Art Sherpa, and today we are going to be painting live streaming a wild cardinal in a winter scene. To help me do this is my husband, John.
Hello.
You will be hearing this voice throughout the broadcast. He makes sure that all the stuff turns on, that the cameras are pointed at and zoomed in on the techniques that I'm demonstrating on the class that I'm explaining, so you can really see what's going on. You can always see the color mixes on the palette. So he runs all of this here, and he has another very important job. He sometimes reads the questions that you guys ask during the live show to me, and you might get your questions answered live, and he shouts you guys out and he's like engaging with you. If you are here and this is your first time here and you have a question, just put that all in caps and one of two things will happen. Either one of our art ambassadors, which are our moderators, will help you find the video that answers your question, or maybe they'll answer it themselves because they watched like the 3,000 videos that I've made and they know where that information is. Or your question is answered live on the show. Now, I'm going to be breaking down this class step by step. I don't expect you to know anything to do this painting, and even if you're more experienced, I'm going to be breaking down the explanation so that you have the easiest time following along at home. The first thing that I'm going to do is tell you that if you check the description below, while I will be freehanding the bird into the painting and showing you how I do that, how I draw that, there's a link to a traceable. So if you're not a fan of drawing yet, I will get you to be a fan of drawing. But if you're not a fan of drawing yet, the traceable is there and you can use that during the drawing in portion. So you don't have to worry about that as part of your creative process. Now, outside of that, let's go over materials.
All right.
I'm going to get a little tucked in here.
Oh, yeah? Me come
Yeah.
help you?
I don't know. I think I'm in.
Think you're in?
I'm in. I'm mini. Little. Okay, that's fine. I have an 8x8 canvas today. Now, I have a note on this. My note is that if you have trouble seeing or you have trouble painting small, size this up to a 10x10 or a 12x12. Just because I'm painting an 8x8 does not mean you have to paint an 8x8. The great thing about square canvases, and I've been using them for almost 10 years, is because it allows my students to size up or size down easily without having to worry about changing aspect ratios and adding stuff that isn't in the reference photo to make the painting work. On the palette, I have Mars Black, Burnt Sienna, Phthalo Green, Cad Yellow Medium, Quinacridone Magenta, Cad Red Medium, Dioxazine Purple, Ultramarine Blue, Burnt Sienna. I have Titanium White, and right here I have a little bit of the satin glazing liquid. This slows down my paint's drying time and allows me to glaze. So it does two very important things. Actually, really three. It extends my paint, it improves blendability, and it allows me to glaze. And there really isn't another product that does all three of those things. And if you're just looking for something that improves blending, what you're looking for is a slow dry medium or a retarding medium. That's what they call it in the art store. So any of those are there, but I think the satin glazing liquid, they don't pay me to say this at all in any way. But this is my favorite product for making acrylics easier to use. This is my recommendation. All right, now on my canvas today, I have the wishes that everyone has joy, health, and hope in their lives. Right now, you can see it faintly on the canvas written in chalk. We're going to start putting wishes and intentions on our canvas again because we've all just missed that so much.
That's been a nice thing.
It's been a nice, nice thing. Now I'm going to get my brush mildly wet. I'm going to take a 1-inch oval mop. I'm going to get it damp. And the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to take these little chalk words and erase them into the canvas so that I can paint the background in and we don't have words showing through. But now they're going into our canvas, and I'm going to take a little bit of my ultramarine blue, glazing liquid here, and a little bit of burnt sienna, and I'm going to mix them together, and it's going to make a very nice gray. I want that gray to be a little more blue than brown. And then we're going to come over to our white, and we're going to make a very light color. See how light that color is? And we're going to paint that whole canvas that light, light color. Even be a little lighter than this. We may do another layer making it lighter. There we go. A nice light background. But right now we got to get some paint on here. That's what we're doing. We're getting some paint on here. I'm just working it in. I like the Princeton Select 1-inch oval mop quite a lot. It's a brush I do recommend. I think that they are worth getting. They're nice for blending and they're nice for painting out canvases. They do a lot of techniques that I enjoy. I've done them where I've done a whole painting practically with one, using it for foliage and everything. So they have a lot of opportunity in them. I'm making sure the whole canvas is covered, that we don't have any of white of the canvas shining through. There we go, a nice light blue. Now what we're going to do next is we're going to dry this with our hair dryer or air dry it. Either one is fine. It takes a little bit longer when I use glazing liquid to dry things, and John can talk to you about, we still have garage sale boxes, I think. Do we still have any?
We might. I'll talk about that. And I'm going to answer Angela's whoop. Man, that's a sneak on me. Coach, she yeeted out of there. So, Angelina, is this live? Well, there's a little bit of a delay, like maybe 30 seconds delay or something like that. Maybe 45, hard to know, but there's a slight delay. So you're seeing this more or less live as it happens, but being the masters of time and space that you are, you can hit pause on us anytime you like, and that'll just pause us. So, what I would like to remind you guys is that, thank you, Heather. Thank you so much. I appreciate everything. And, guys, man, just thank you for being here. We do have stuff in our store to sell. The cool thing is the garage sale boxes. Sim reminded me I need to tell you guys about those later, but don't forget, like, comment, subscribe. That all stuff helps. And thank you for being here.
If you like the video and you have a question and you want to see more of it, I highly recommend doing those things.
Yes.
All right, so I'm going to come back into my blue-gray color again and load up some into my brush. I'm going to get some glazing liquid on there to improve that, and I'll work that into my white paint, making a very, very light blue-gray again.
Yeah, it's live, Angela. I have a bunch of really cool controls and stuff that I push, like steps up and stuff.
This is a slightly lighter coat. We're just making this very atmospheric. We want it to be very blended and diffused back here. Yes, we're live.
Mm-hmm. We just have special effects, green screens, and
we do
things that make us look like this would need to be recorded and produced, but we do it live.
We do live. Actually, we do some recorded ones, but we let you guys know when that's going on. They're called premieres, or sometimes we stream a premiere, but we'll let you guys always know when that's going on. Now I'm going to put this brush, I'm going to rinse it out and put it to the side. Put it totally to the side. And I'm going to come down here, get a little bit. This is a number 4 Raphael d'Artagnan. Make sure these little gold things are so hard to see. I'm getting a little glazing liquid on here, and I'm going to come down and make a little bit of my burnt sienna and my phthalo green. Making kind of a deep, minty, foresty green. Get a little white into it. See it where it's at. And we're going to come here and start to put in some out of focus little background branches. Let's curve a little one up here. And we'll just very lightly diffused brush this out. Just a little bit of diffusion. Sometimes there's a little break in the pine needles, and you want to capture that too if you can.
The diffusion.
Now, I was saying this recently, and I want to say it again. You are not beholden to the reference.
That's true, yeah.
This is your painting. The reference is your guide. So don't feel like you've got to have exactly a photocopy of what's there. This is to guide you through the painting, to help you understand light and focus and form and those types of things. Because what we look at, we paint better. So there's a little diffused branch. We're just going to keep going through and diffusing some branches through here. When it runs down this way. A little more burnt sienna. You get the burnt sienna when it's too brightly green. This brush is doing a soft brush stroke, which is helping these elements feel more out of focus.
Mm.
Maybe add a little bit of a hinted one right here. Sometimes you can grab a little bit of brown. Just pop little diffused bits. A little more brown and green. Just coming through here a bit too. Now listen, you're going to have a big bird here, so don't paint the best branch of your life right in the middle where you're putting your bird. And we're just brushing this down. This isn't in focus. This is out of focus.
It's soft focus.
It's soft focus.
And thank you, Nance, for being a 2-month member of Emoji Club.
Oh, thank you. I just added some more white in. Thank you so much. Enjoy your emoji club. If you have just gotten a membership or you've been gifted a membership, you have custom emojis for this channel for live stream that you can throw down that are different little things that we have here pretty consistently. Grab a little bit of brown here. And I'm just brushing it out. We're just working that background. Maybe a little bit of a applied stem through here. Just very light touching. I'm barely touching the brush. You can see my load right there. It's just a very light load. Little brush strokes that kind of mimic the plant. Just putting in a background. Okay, coming around here and just making sure the edges of my canvas are painted.
That's nice. So that's so you could just like hang it right on the wall and not even have to worry about it.
Yeah, and if you paint all the way around the sides, you don't need to frame at all.
Or you could just frame it in garland.
You can frame it with a garland.
With twinkle lights.
I mean, if that's where you're at, that's where you're at.
I'm just thinking ahead here.
All right, I'm going to take a little bit of my Cad red down to my Cad yellow. Make a nice bright orange. Mix a little burnt sienna into it.
A bright orange. Oh,
we're going to come here and put some little...
Snook by with a snicker.
Stickers. I love stickers. Thank you for the sticker. Thank you so much. Actually, thank you for coming today. You know, I invite you guys to these things, but I'm always so pleased when you show up. It's very nice because you never know.
It's not a party without you.
It's not a party without you. Now, I'm not going to include the berries down here because the image will look better if there's not the diffused red over the bright red. I want the bright red to really pop.
Those berries are going to feel so left out.
They're going to be left out. We're going to ignore those berries. Making a little bit of my mint green.
Oh my.
Mm.
Thank you, Anya.
Anya, thank you.
That's a big old sticker. Thank you.
I love that sticker. Thank you.
Thank you. It's
What's the
very,
sticker
very
of?
generous of you guys.
What's
It's a
the
big rocket sticker.
A rocket sticker?
It's a super rocket sticker.
Thank you so much.
Really, guys, your generosity here is very appreciated. It really does help us do this. It helps us provide these free art lessons out here on YouTube and continue to do this. So thank you. We really, really appreciate it. And
Genuinely.
yeah. Generous donations like yours, Anya, really do help. Thank you. And these backgrounds. Did you this was brought up earlier.
Mm.
In the background,
Mm-hmm.
there might be an eye in the background. You see it? I don't know. So I thought I'd ask you.
I don't see an eye in the background, but that doesn't mean it's not there.
See
Because
the
you got to
shape
be in kind of a relaxed.
Yeah.
You remember those like pictures that looked like they were pixelated, but you had to relax and stare at them, and then you could see a picture hidden in them.
Mm-hmm.
You've got to be sometimes relaxed to see those faces in the wood or the carpet or the eyes in the painting. It's just you got to just a little bit of relax is important. Just a little bit of. These are such light little marks, right? We're just making light little out of focus. Little dealios. Okay. We've gotten that much in. Right. Nice little bushes. We should give it a check. I just rinsed my brush out and I'm just coming and making sure that this is soft.
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 Like you're touching a cat you know that's going to run away as soon as you pet it. Just a very soft touch. Very soft. Soft kitty. Shh. Shh.
Stay, kitty, stay.
Don't run away. Don't run away.
All right. So when you have that where you're happy, you're going to dry that thoroughly.
Thoroughly dry.
With your hairdryer. Or air dry. Either way.
So, yeah. When you're drying your surface, just use air. That's really all you need to do. It doesn't need anything more than that. So don't use heat, stuff like that. And if you have a chance and you would like to have a really great package of stuff, we have these garage sale boxes, still a handful of them left in our store. They're really great because they have a bunch of surfaces, really nice paint, and really nice brushes. Folks will talk about them in the chat who's got them. Great value if you're interested in that. Still a few left in the store. All right. That break was brought to you by Gratuitous Self-Promotion.
All right. I'm still in the same brush, the number 4 Raphael D'Artagnan. This is a hog bristle brush. It's in a round. It's fairly small. I get asked all the time, can I use a cheaper hog bristle brush? Yes, you can, but here's the tip. You want to make sure that the ferrules are seated, and then you want to vigorously wash the brush, getting out all the loose hairs before you ever touch it to a canvas. Because one of the things that the cheaper brushes do is they tend to shed. You'll also want to keep a pair of tweezers by your painting area just in case a loose hair ever just sort of gets out.
So you can tweeze it. Oh, thank you, Angela.
Thank you, Angela. I'm going to add a little more yellow into this and then some white.
You make my day.
And we're going to add a little, perhaps highlight Little glow. These are little touches, but sometimes they make a big difference. Little bits of glow. And then we're going to come right back into our green and brown. Darker this time.
Mm.
It's a little bit solid back here. And I'm dry brushing, and that's another way to keep it kind of diffused and out of focus. And then I'm going to come and get a little bit of my Quinacridone, my Cad Red, and a bit of my Dox Purple. I'm wiping my brush often with my towel to keep the excess water out of it. First mix to get that dark berry color. And we're going to paint little out of focus rounds.
Ooh.
Let's bring that back here to the back corner.
Such an interesting and good question.
I love good questions.
Why do you prefer gloss versus why do you prefer gloss versus satin?
I prefer satin over gloss.
Satin over gloss. What?
Satin over gloss. And the reason is that the gloss it's very shiny and it makes a mirror reflection to the camera and you can't see the canvas. And then from my angle, the way the light hits it, I can't see the canvas for the reflection. So I use satin for its mattifying effects because it allows me to see my work better and you guys to see my work better. If you want to have deeper, richer colors, you use the gloss. If you want to have softer, more matte colors, you use the satin. That's why.
And
it's a
there
great
you have
question.
it.
It's a great question because there might have been a reason. I used to feel the gloss had better brushability, but that's very anecdotal, and I really haven't had any problems with the satin. Now I'm going to come here and get a little bit of my Cad Red mixed into this, just a little bit brighter. And we're going to add a little highlight to the berries, just at the front. That looks really good. Okay, I'm going to dry that.
Dry.
I'm going to dry
Okay.
that.
All right. So I'm going to tell you guys a secret of the YouTube button pushing behind the scenes thing. So what happens is that when we go to a drying break, I push the commercial button. And so I apologize to all those who get commercialized during that button push. The reason why I push the button at that time is that it gives you guys a few seconds to come back. And I'll just be blathering on. I really generally don't say anything of true importance during that time. Tell you about drying and like stuff.
Nothing important.
Not generally. But it's something you could miss. And if we don't do that, then YouTube inserts the ads where we don't want them. So this is a way that we have a control over that. Apologize for it. It is part of the YouTubery.
YouTubery.
Boom, boom,
Boom, boom.
boom.
Now I'm going to grab just a little more red, just red, and I'm going to come here and just a couple of these. I'm going to add a little very red just to pop them. Pop them. It's out of focus. You know, you can pop them anyways. Now get a little of your blue. Bring it over towards your white. make sure that the paint load on your brush is not heavy. I just wiped off extra with my brush, and I need to make a lighter color than my background.
Thank you, Mary Kate. Thank you.
And we're going to snow. A little bit here. A little snow. It's a snow. Just little hints of snow on the background. That's a background work here, and that's okay.
Yeah. So.
Just a little bit of a dry brush across these branches.
And that's just putting some faint back snow on there.
A little faint snow. So that the snow on our forward in focus branch is really, really noticeable.
This is very fitting today because it was the first snow for a lot of folks.
It is. It was our first snow of the year here in Ann Arbor. It was our first snow. I was so excited.
Yeah, the kids looked outside as wild-eyed as the cats did.
Yeah, the cats were the most in shock.
They were just like,
the cats were
"What
like, the outside window
happened?
all looks wrong.
What is this stuff coming from the sky?" And there's just the chittering, just like, oh yeah, it was great.
Yeah, they were super excited for it. Kids were excited for it. It was just good all the way around. I'm just adding a little bit of the snow. Diffused, just background.
Oh, guys, if your sticker disappears from the top, it's on a little timer. It just does that.
Yeah, we don't take it away.
We don't take them away. They time out. So
that's a YouTube thing.
We would keep them on forever. Like I would keep my car covered in your stickers if I could, just like plastered in the stickers. But it times them out.
All right, I'm gonna come here. I'm gonna rinse my brush out and dry it off. I'm gonna grab just a little bit of my burgundy red. I'm going to imply little berries here. See how they're very, very light? Just kind of a little dry brush. I can grab some of the darker color and make sure that there's shading. But these are out of focus. These are good. So those are nice to have there. Just a little bit of diffusion and thoughtfulness all around. All right. Again, I want to dry everything. And this is a thorough dry. I don't need a semi-dry. I need a thorough dry.
Thorough drying.
Thorough dry. Sometimes we semi-dry when all we need is a skin on the paint. But when we want to really, really be able to rest our hand and do like considered work, then we dry.
And for all of you who are about to see a commercial, I'm sorry. Or did CSR break, I don't know. But those are the ways of YouTube. So at least I have that to talk about. Don't use heat. This is probably going to be a long one. So don't use heat. It's a bad thing. You can pause and take a break and stretch. And like, oh, wow. Here I was getting ready to oh, nope, see? She's just not done yet. All right. So this is where she's going to mess with me. She's going to be like, no, it's going to take longer. And then she'll stop. So I'll figure out, what will I talk about? Oh, that's interesting. You don't always get commercials when I push the button. It depends on YouTube stuff. I don't understand it. But at least it knows that that's where it should put them if it's going to put one in. So you won't always see them when I push the button, I think. See, here we are talking about something interesting. And I'm doing most of the talking, so I'll let you guys talk for a while.
Talk. Everybody talking?
I was just talking away. I'm gonna let them talk.
You're gonna let that. You were monologuing?
I was.
That's okay. That's why you get paid the big bucks. Just kidding. All right, I'm going to put on my glasses because what I can see I can do better. And I'm going to take a Dritz chalk tool. This has got a blue chalk in it. If you're using the traceable, this is when you would transfer it on the canvas. If you've never transferred a traceable on the canvas, I have a video on how to do that. I'm going to kind of sketch in the line that will be my branch. Coming across here. And there's another little branch coming down here. And then I'm going to think about how I want to draw in my little bird. My bird takes up a good amount of my canvas, so I want to kind of
sketch the bird.
Sketching in this little bird here. First, I'm going to try to get some scale in. I'm using light lines. And that's why I like chalk, because I can erase it with my finger. If my canvas is dry, if my canvas is still slightly damp, what happens is that the chalk can leave a mark. Little brush in back for a beak. Little forehead. And then we're going to come back with a little bit of a cardinal flourish. And then the back of the head has a little bow there. And then the wings kind of come from that. And they have almost a little bit of feathers there. A little bit. And I might move up my branch a little bit. Back here from the head about right here, I will go ahead and put in a little eye. And then there's a little black kind of bib. I like to paint in. It's very fun for me. Now this is a loose sketch, right? And I will come in and maybe make changes or add parts or, you know, take away parts as I work in paint. But it's nice to have a little guide to help you paint a little bird in. But that's how I would sketch him in. Dritz chalk tool with the blue chalk.
Now you got that in. There's some really interesting observations. Like, Lindsay was, she was like,
"Hi, Lindsay."
She was like, "I bet it's colder up there in Michigan than it is in Louisiana." And so I went and I looked it up real quick. And this is another bet that I'll make, that it is true. It is 62 degrees in Louisiana and it's 37 degrees up here. But I'll bet there are more Michiganders in shorts today than there are Louisianans in shorts today.
That's entirely possible.
This is something that I have learned, is that shorts do not dictate weather. They get worn either way.
They don't.
And my kids have started doing it too.
All right. I'm going to take a little bit of my Dioxazine Purple and my Cad Red together. I'll make kind of a burgundy, dark burgundy color. And I will loosely start to sketch this in. My bird gets fatter. Oh, I'm using a number 4 Isabey Isacryl filbert. You could use a round for this or a filbert for this, but you want a brush that gives you some sense of control.
You know, Anya was asking a really good question, which I definitely see as a what I would consider an advanced question. Can we put a thin layer of clear white over the back branches to make them look like they're further in the background?
If you'd like to, yes.
You
could absolutely take zinc or a thin layer and fog them even further into the back if you want.
Mm-hmm.
You take them to where you want to take them.
Oh, Laura, I'm sure someone will. Just a fun guy. I know he's a fun guy. So I'm sure that there's a link here shortly for him.
Oh, yeah, the Fun Guy is one of my early paintings. I love him so much.
He's
And
fun.
you know what? It's always fun when someone finds us now and then goes back to 10 years ago when we started. Much like you grow as artists, we grew as YouTubers.
It's pretty much the same thing. Me talking to you while paint dries.
Well, the first ones you were there, but
Well,
you weren't talking
that's
because
true.
John has gets very uncomfortable, gets a little bit of stage fright going. So he was not into being on camera at all.
And this is Cinnamon's show, not my show. So I never really felt comfortable.
Except it is your show too, you silly Willy.
Well, sure, but not in the same way. Like,
I'm just brushing I'm doing what's called an underpainting. I'm brushing in a dark color to give my bird depth. And we're gonna come right out here.
doodlebugs in Huntsville. That's a nice part of Texas.
Bring that little wing in. We'll really play with those feathers and everything right there. And the little tail is going to go back into the background. You don't need to see all of it because we've got lots and lots of branch in front of everything. Got kind of a foreshortened aspect. So now, my little birdie here. I feel like you can almost not over exaggerate their crowns. I've painted cardinals a lot. I like these birds a lot. I paint them often.
Yep.
I like blue jays, I like cardinals. They just need to be painted.
I,
Like robins,
I've never
blue
seen
tits. I've certainly painted a lot of blue tits.
I've never seen you over round them either. They always seem to be just happily
Just right.
fluffed.
Just happily fluffed. Happily flurfed. Now I'm going to put my glasses back on so I have detail. Actually, let's try this and call this a step so we can work in the little beak and face and we don't have to worry about smearing our red paint.
Sure.
And we're also not getting so far into the painting that we're overwhelmed.
That totally makes sense. And I'm going to go over here and look. Ooh, let's see if that worked. Kaboom, boom. Did the thing where I push the button and the button again, and sometimes it goes kabing and works. I'm hoping that's what's happened. YouTube seems a little happier. Maybe. I had to I basically did the effective unplug it and plug it back in of the YouTube, and it seemed to get a little better, but it's not great.
I'm going to take a little red over to my yellow and make a nice orange.
Let me see if I can go check my other thing.
Nice, lovely orange. I'm going to come right here. Very carefully. This is a number 6 Raphael sepia round. It's got a nice point to it so I can paint kind of sharp areas if I need to. Bring that out. Back a little bit. Paint that in with the orange to start with. We'll really get in there with detailed brushes. This is a good place to begin. Just getting in the basics. Then I'm going to make sure I don't have a hidden water drop.
Right.
Grab a little bit of black. Little flicks there, and we're going to paint in the little mask. And in that little mask. And while I'm at it, I'll take just a fine, fine line. pull in the shadow there. And right here, the corner point, I'm going to paint in a little circle that's going to be the eye. Little fluffy little bird edges here. There we go. That needs to have a dry for a second, as it do.
Mm-hmm.
We're going to start to get a little more red from our purple. And begin to paint the round of the low belly. A little red over here into my docks.
Mm. Just put a nice layer on the bird.
Yeah, starting to think about how he is. Now, every once in a while, I'm going to take a little black over to this mix here. Make kind of this gray color. And then I'm going to take a little of my black and white. I haven't rinsed my brush though. So there's just a hint of the red in it. And I'm going to kind of hint at the little gray, the little wing there. Maybe a little more black. And we'll come back and add some little highlights and stuff. We just want to a little bit of the black over to our red color, making that kind of gray. Brush that in. Oh, he just comes in so quickly. Grab a little more of the red. I take my Cad red and I mix it with my Dox purple. This is a thing that I love to do. I love this color combo. I'm going to just make sure that our little tail here, or the tail that's like peeking out, chunk that back here. And I know I'm going to be working that little area by the wing. Layer, layer, layer.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. kind of under the little tail here just a little bit. And we know that we've got this here. There's tons of branch over that, so I don't want to do all my work here. There we go. So starting to get some shape and value and bird in. A little bit of red. Ooh. All right. Do we have any questions?
There's so many. Let's go to the top here.
Putting up
Let's see
the
what
little
we did.
blue chalk here.
Most of it was metric versus imperial questions.
Oh, well, I have no answers for that.
I did that inside here.
Okay.
Can you describe what depth is when you talk about it in a painting?
So in a painting, we create the illusion, because obviously it's a flat surface, of things being further away from us. And generally we think about a background, a middle ground, and a foreground or a subject. And in painting like this, where we don't have architectural or man-made elements or particularly structural elements, we have something called atmospheric perspective. And all that means is that when you're looking at a landscape, things that are distant and far away are out of focus and tend to be desaturated and not as bright. And that effect, when we paint it, creates depth. When we're done with this tree branch being in bright, like sharp line, color, contrast, all of that, we'll pull it forward with our bird, pulling this branch closer to us and this little branch down here closer to us. And then that puts these little diffused branches in the background further away. And then, as one viewer asked earlier, could you even push them back further by doing like a zinc glaze or a white glaze with like a little bit of titanium white and glazing liquid just to even push them further to the background? You absolutely can. And that's what we play with as artists, is those sense of depths and those types of things.
Now, you guys will notice that Cinnamon's birds tend to be fluffy. They're well-fed birds. And that's because they all come from here in Ann Arbor, where the only thing fatter than the birds are the cats.
All my birds, it doesn't matter what the reference is, are a little bit judgy.
That's true.
They're a little bit judgmental or disgruntled in some kind of a way. And with maybe the exception of the singing chickens, the cute three-headed singing, the three chickens singing together,
That's true.
The chorus, they were not particularly judgy. They were actually really funny. But most of my birds, when I'm painting like a bird you would see in nature, tends to be a little bit of a judgy bird. It's a little bit of a judgment bird.
So are we just moving on to the next step, or are
I think I want to
dry it?
I'm dry, but you want to check that your painting is dry before you move on to the next step. I don't need to dry anything because I am dry.
I give it a 50-50 that she stops and dries.
50-50? That's what you think?
50-50.
Okay, I'm going to use a small detail brush. This is a #1 Raphael Corel. These are a multimedia brush, sometimes used in watercolor, but they have just enough firmness to work for detail work and a painting like this. I'm going to do a little trick. I'm going to take my fluid acrylic. This is exactly like my white paint here, except what's called the body of the paint. That's how thick the paint is a thinner paint. It has a high pigment load. It's a thinner paint. It's called fluid acrylic titanium white. Craft bottle paint is a similar body of paint, or you can thin your paint with either glazing liquid or water. But we're wanting to make us a thinner consistency. There you go. I just need a drop. Come into this and make a very nice light gray. That I roll on the toe of my brush, and I'm going to come here to the eye. Very carefully outline the eye with a little bit of a light gray. Fine line. Now, fine lines are about how hard you're pressing on your brush, how fluid the paint is, and the brush that you're using. So if you're struggling with your fine lines, First, don't be like, I can't do fine lines. You can do fine lines, but something in your process may be interfering with your ability to do that. So check and see, is your brush small and tight, and does it come to a fine point? Have you thinned the paint you're working with enough? Because if I tried to do it with this thick paint, I couldn't make a fine line either, right? And are you pressing too hard down? Because when you press down, it thickens the line, right? If you want a fine line, you got to press lightly. That's just a thing you might not know. It's a thing you might not know.
Yep.
I'm going to take a little bit of my blue and white.
Thank you, Sue.
Thank you, Sue. A little bit of blue and white.
That's your first super chat on a live stream. Congratulations.
Thank you.
And thank you.
All right, we're going to add a little bit of a blue and white reflection up high, and then a hint of one down low. And we're going to come back and pop a more significant reflection. I'm kind of known for doing like really detailed, very expressive eyes. I'm going to get just a smidge, just a hair of the white to go right in that eye. And if I can, I'm going to as fine as possible. And if it gets away from me, I have a trick on how I fix it. If it's not as fine as I want, but it is. But my trick would be, if I needed to thin that down even more, I could come back with a little bit of black paint. Very carefully, what I call trimming. Or thin the line. So I've got just a little bit of white highlight on the waterline. I've got a little bit of sky blue reflection in there. And I've got the little gray outline. And those things playing together give me a little beaded eye that looks extra reflective, extra live. It's extra. And go ahead and get a little bit of my cad yellow. I'm going to come in and maybe get it more red here. Come in and start to play with my beak. As I paint this in, it takes the shadow and makes it less noticeable. I'm going to grab a little bit of white over here. Into my cad red and yellow mix. It might need to be drier for this. Finish what I'm doing, but I do think it needs to be a little drier to show the highlight. That'll be something that sometimes you'll notice. You'll be like painting on something and you're like, oh, you need to be a little drier. I'm going to take a little of my glazing liquid with my brush down to my black.
Never heard you say that before.
What?
You might need it a little drier.
Just a little bit dry. We say that all the time. Because like sometimes I'll be painting into something and one of the big things that can frustrate you as a beginner. Oh, okay. One of the things that you run into as a beginner is if you're working on an area that's wet and you keep trying to put paint over it, it's just not going to take. It's just not going to take. And you'll get frustrated and think it's you, but it's not really you. It's just that your paint is too wet. I'm going to come in here and make sure that my nice little mask, and around a little bit, is really cute and black. And then we'll exaggerate the little fluff of the feathers here. A bit of a curve on the beak that I like. Now I do need to hair dry it if I'm going to do any more highlights. So let's hair dry it and we'll come back in another step.
No problem. The hair drying step, as they say. So, yep, thoroughly dry it. That way, when you get to the next part where put the next highlights in, you really want those highlights to be crisp and clear and sharp. And so just making sure that you thoroughly dry there. We'll take care of that. And then you have to check it to make sure you think it's as thoroughly dry as you think it is.
It's thoroughly dry. This one I just need it dry enough to take paint. A little of my fluid fluid there, so I'm not working as hard. A little more yellow. There we go. And then right here at the back along this line, we're going to add a little highlight too. And it comes out in a little bit of a shadow, and then we're going to come back into our like red. And I might come over here and grab a little bit of my purple into the mix, just to kind of darken it. That. The beak down here. Maybe a little bit right back here. Just so that's as shaded as it can be. And I'm going to bring this along a little line. There we go. Getting a little beak the way we want it to be. Rinsed my brush out, wiped it off with my towel. I'm going to get a little white. And a very fine line. There's a little reflection. And then a little bit right here. Man, I love painting birds. All right, down to the wings, my friends. I'm going to get a little bit of a light gray. I'm going to come and I'm going to a little loop there. Coming along his little friend. I'm going to get a little black. Kind of shade in the wing feathers that are tucked in. A little bit of line. Create an extra little shadow there. Extra little shadow there. I'm gonna let that have a dry. Okay, it's looking really cute.
Mm-hmm.
Looking super cute, super
Thank you.
bird-like. He's doing his thing. He's all perched. He's not done. He's all perched. Now I'm going to switch to a 3/8 inch filbert grainer. This is the Princeton Select Velvet Touch Brush. You can also use the 3/8 inch Princeton Select filbert grain. This is Princeton Velvet Touch, and this is Select. So this line of brushes is Select. It's a little less expensive than this line of brushes, but the brush itself is the same. You can do the rest with a filbert. If you don't have a grainer, the grainer is going to just kind of exaggerate the feathers and everything a little bit. All right, I'm going to get a little glazing liquid on here. Grab some of my gray, my black and gray. Come up to my red mixture. I'm going to start to add some gray right here. And get a little white. This is a red gray.
I love seeing Deborah's comment out here.
Mm.
It's a very common thing for people to come in and join the chat and really enjoy the community the first time and just not really paint along or watch.
Oh, yeah, no, actually, most people come do the chat and then paint on the second viewing.
Yeah, it's so that's not an uncommon experience. Uncommon experience, and I am pleased to see that you're at that place in your journey.
It's a good place to be.
It's good. This is a good community, good group of people here.
All right, I'm going to take a little bit of my red down here, and I might get some of my quin into it for sure. We're going to come here at the cheek. We'll start to kind of exaggerate this little cheek. Maybe up here a little bit.
It's so
As
funny.
I get into my yellow.
I can see the texture that grainer left. It's a little. You can see that. So neat.
Little warmth at that cheek. Back into my little red here. I'm going to start to come back. Go on the edge of this to get nice little feathers out. Come here and add a little highlight. Add a little white to it, a little highlight, a little subtle stuff. Just a little bit there. Grab a little bit of my red and gray together. And I'm going to come here and flick out a little feathers because we're fluffy. A little more red here. Start to. I'm brushing upward. A little bit grayer back here.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe a little Dioxazine Purple. So one of the privileges I get as the painter of this is that I get to exaggerate elements of, the shape of the bird. I'm going to grab some red here. Blend that back down. We're going to round that belly quite a lot. Come in with a little bit of brighter orange.
He really comes into zone here with those bright colors.
Yeah, he do. Come along here. This lighter color. Okay, he got a lot of crickets this summer.
Mm-hmm.
He ate all the crickets. It's not a struggle in this winter. He's not struggling. I'm just grabbing a little bit of my red and just shading it back in. He's so fat. swear everything is like Despicable Me. So cute and fluffy.
Fluffy.
Fluffy. We're going to add a little bit of white.
That does great.
Get a little more of our red quinacridone. We just really paint him. Again, we got a whole branch over all of this. So this isn't where we have to like worry ourselves.
Jennifer was like, it was a year ago today I painted this, your other cardinal.
Is it the one in the Christmas tree? The other berry cardinal? Is it the one with the snowman?
Did we do a glitter cardinal? I feel like there was a glitter
Well,
cardinal.
we did a glitter snowman for Maymay.
Yeah.
For Maymay's channel.
Oh, and it had a cardinal.
We did glitter painting for a half
It
second.
may had a cardinal
we
in
did
that
black
thing.
light painting for a little while. We did glitter painting for a little while.
We've done a lot of
Sometimes we get a little creative. Now we're going to want to dry this thoroughly.
Dry it thoroughly. And I will go over and watch to see if there's anything in the chat that I need to answer, which I don't see any right now. You guys seem to be covering it all. Nice to see everybody. I agree with the birds. This is so fluffy. I like the fluffiness. Oh, and that was a short dry anyway. We didn't really have time for me to get too philosophical anyway.
You weren't philosophical?
No. It's a cardinal anniversary.
It's a cardinal anniversary. All right, I'm going to take a little of my Mars Black and my burnt sienna. I'm going to mix them together and make a very dark chocolate brown. And I'm going to come along here and start to paint in the branch. Maybe get some glazing liquid on here so it flows off my brush a little easier. Sometimes that's a trick you can do. You can use water or glazing liquid to improve the flow of your paint. I'm going to maybe bring down a little branch there.
Warming my toes with the output of the GPU.
Are you?
Yeah. There's a lot of air coming out of it. I was like, warm my toes.
And we'll bring a little branch kind of coming in from over here. Now, I don't want to call it a whole new step, but I have to dry this
Just
so I
to,
can,
just to give it
we're
a
going
little.
to dry it, but it's not a new step.
All right. No step.
No step.
We're just going to give it a little dry, a little quick. I don't think we'll even have to be there long enough for me to do things. Just, there we go. A little dry. Let's see here. She's drying longer than I thought, but that's okay. Can't wait. All right. How was that dry?
Dry enough.
Dry enough.
Dry enough. Take a little brown over towards my orange. I'm going to start with just burnt sienna. I'm going to come here and add little spots of brown. Like a lot of this gets over painted because we're going to put a bunch of pine needles in. But you want the branch to peek out and you want the branch to be shaded. So it looks like it exists in the world. Which it does, but you want it to look like it does. I'm just coming along here and adding little rough brush strokes, just kind of starting to give the branch a little bit of bark.
Bark.
Bark, bark. And then I can come in and take a little bit of my brown into my yellow, even a little bit of white. Little marks. Little dashes. They're just tiny. A lot of these are going to go away, so don't stress yourself out here on the dashes. You just want them so that when you put the needles in, they peek out. A lot of philosophies, a lot of different ways to paint, and this is just one of them. I like this construction way of painting, personally.
Very easily approachable for beginners.
Yeah. Now, once we have that branch in, we will call it a step.
Aha!
Aha! Aha ha ha!
So we're going to dry it?
We're going to dry it.
We're going to dry it.
Dry it so much.
And now we will call this a new step. So this has to be the drying kind. So thank you guys for being here, and hearts and hugs going to everybody out there who's going through medical journeys, and super glad to see all the positive results for everybody that you're seeing. Really appreciate that you guys are taking care of yourselves and seeing the doctors when you need to.
Yeah, that's important.
Super important.
Self-care. You matter, so you're worth taking care of. I'm going to take a little bit of my burnt sienna over to my phthalo green. I might grab some glazing liquid to improve the flow. You could use water. And I'm going to roll the extra paint out of my brush on just the toe. We'll start here as a practice. There with a little bit of the branch peeking out.
Mm-hmm. That brush seems to do a very nice job there.
It does. This is, again, the sepia number 6 round. It comes with a second awesome tinier little brush, the number 2. Like if you need a teeny tiny little point, got the number 2 there. It comes in a set. If you want to get exactly that one. But if you can't get this exact one, what you're looking for online is a nice detail brush.
I see you resting your hand on your other hand.
This
bridging?
is to steady my hand.
Uh-huh.
I'm steadying my hand. Just making sure I got nice little pine needles. Just crisper little needles.
Mm-hmm. Now, you're just leaning one hand on the other hand to
just to steady it.
So
we're just steadying
there's
a hand.
there's no like golf finger interlock trick you're doing or something.
No. And then we're going to go through and we're going to start with some pine needles on the tree. This is pine needle layer 1.
Turning out really good.
Yeah.
There seemed to be a little streaming issue.
There's always a little streaming issue.
I'm seeing what I
think
can
we're
find.
getting throttled on our internet. Because the TV's been having streaming issues.
Yeah, I'm gonna see what we can do here.
Should I stop?
No, I think it's gonna. I think it's fixing itself here. It looks like it's starting to bit rate starting to fall back into normal ranges.
Enjoy your pine needles. You have many layers of them to do.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. This is a step, and we want to dry it.
There we go.
It's not our finished step. It's just a step.
Just a step.
Just a step
while
in
this
a
step
multi-journey to berries, snow, and pine needles.
All right. So while that step's going, I'm going to try to not only fix some things, but man, this the little, it's being a little thingy. So I'm going to see what we can do here to reconnect. And hopefully it'll happen while you're on a and I'm hoping that I fixed the lag thing. So hopefully it'll just go bloop, and then it'll be okay in a second.
I'm going to take some quinacridone over to my Cad Red, and I'm going to grab some Dioxazine Purple into it. Quite a dark maroon color. Wine color. And we're going to start to paint little circles. This can be a little bit tedious or relaxing depending on where you're at. I'm just using my number 6 again. And painting is just a guide for where I put berries.
Right.
I get to make lots of decisions if I like placement of a berry, and if I don't have to put it there. Again, you don't owe the reference photo anything.
Sure.
It is there for you to help you. Just twirl the brush around to get the basis of the berries.
Mm-hmm.
Just a little basis of the berries. Okay, now I don't want it to be another step, but I have to dry everything.
Right. This is
So
just
just a
betweener.
drying step.
Just a drying.
We're going to have a
betweener.
couple dries on this so that we can keep painting.
So we're just going to quick dry. And it's a dry. We'll watch the paint dry because that's what we do. Thank you guys again for being here with us. Don't forget to stretch, make sure you're not hunched over. Take a deep breath. Take care of yourself and your postures.
Very much. Very,
No
very,
stepping.
very much. Next, we're still here.
You're still here. I'm not stepping it.
All right. Now I'm going to take a little bit of my Cad Red and my Quinacridone Magenta. I'm going to paint the front of the berries a little bit.
Those are cute little berries.
They start to berry up real fast. So the shading lets the berries have a little bit of roundness to them.
Mm-hmm.
And again, we're going to want to dry a little bit.
Just give them a little dry. Just it's okay. Multi-dry. We're not harmed by the drying. We can wait. We can wait and watch it dry to the next part where it's dry. 'Cause that's what we do, is watch the paint dry. Do. All right. This is slow drying berries.
A bit at a time.
Little bit at a time.
A little bit at a time. We just build the berries up. I mean, are we fussing with the berries a lot? Yeah, we are, but that's okay.
Very good.
It's very good, as strawberry shortcake would say. All right. I'm going to add just a little pop of Cad Red.
I don't think I'll ever forget that particular blend of plastic and strawberry smell.
Yeah. Your sister had strawberry shortcake?
Strawberry. Well, I think that there was a particular year where you could walk down an aisle in Walmart and that's all you would smell.
That is actually true.
But I think that they stopped using that scent, probably for all of our better health.
Because it might have been a little deadly.
It just had some staying power that would imply some underlying strength of chemical.
Now I'm going to take a little bit of white. I'm going to. I'm in my fluid paint and I'm using my #1 detail brush and I'm just adding a few little. Some of this will vanish with the snow. But some of it won't, and it's just a nice touch to make these feel extra. And again, a lot of this will go with the snow. All right. Now we dry it, and this was a step. We buried so many berries.
So many berries.
So many berries. Then we got some snow and some pine needles.
All right. There's some time. Then we can have a break there. We'll have another step. And there's a good question here. What's the difference between open and glazing liquid? Open means that it slows the drying time down. And that's different than glazing, which thins it and allows it to apply in thin coats. Sometimes glazing does make it slow in its drying, but it doesn't make it specifically an opener. Is that right?
That's exactly true.
I've been here a minute.
Been here a minute. Now I'm
I've-
going to take a tool called a deerfoot stippler. It looks like a deer's foot. You could use a hog bristle round if you don't have this, or a hog bristle D-brush.
I think that's the name of a new sub takeoff show. Will it stipple?
Will it stipple? And I'm going to get a little blue in it, and then I'm going to get a lot of white. I'm going to very carefully.
Now, if you didn't have a deerfoot stippler, could you stipple with something that looked kind of brushy and bristly?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. This just has a nice dynamic angle.
Yeah, that lets me stipple away.
We can see that stipple action. Oh, yeah, you can really see it there on that angle. It just pushes that little... That's really what you're using, is that sharp angle of that brush, huh?
Yeah, I'm just using the little angle, and sometimes I can use the flat when I want to build up the snow more.
So you could probably get away with maybe even using like a filbert, or you just have to be careful. It gives you slightly different patterning with your brush tip, right?
Yes.
And
we're still going to do a splatter technique here too, so we're going to...
If you're unsure of your brush pattern, practice on a piece of paper.
Yeah, totally practice.
It's okay to, you don't have to just have Sherpa nerves where I'm just going to paint right over this part that I just painted.
I mean, yeah. I'll need a couple paper towels to do the next little part.
All right. I'll get you paper towels. Hold on a
You're
second.
going to get me a paper towel. I appreciate it. Okay. Put that aside. Any stippling brush will work here. You just want to start the stipple. Start your stipple. Okay, thank you. Now I'm going to take paper towel and put it here. And I'm going to get some fluid acrylic. You can thin your white paint if you don't have fluid acrylic. And I'm going to grab my toothbrush. Load up. And I'm going to flick a little bit of snow. Small particulate. Okay.
We're all holding our breath as we flick the paint on and not know
where it's going to go. A little bit of snow on the bird.
Some snow on his beak.
Snow on his beak. If you want to, you don't have to.
He was burying.
Now let's dry everything.
All right.
Dry, 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 dry,
Dry, dry, dry, dry, dry.
dry, 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 dry. Dry, 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 dry.
So, yep, we're going to dry. And I don't think we have too much more to do here. This is looking pretty good, you know. I would say that we're pretty close to having achieved herb on a branch. I'm curious. If we don't have a chance to talk again, thanks guys for coming and hanging out. Hope to see you at the next live, because I imagine we're getting close to the end of this one. Tell your friends, come and hang out. Don't forget about the Facebook page where you can share your pictures and we can see all that cool stuff.
I love that. It's my faves.
So are we on another step?
We're on another
signing step?
We're on a step.
Okay, I wasn't
Because we
sure.
got to pull some pine needles out of the snow.
I wasn't sure. But
I'm going to take a little bit of my burnt sienna over to my phthalo green and make a very dark green again.
I figured we were getting close, though.
We are, as soon as we pine needle, I think we're getting there.
Oh.
And then we're going to make sure that our snow has some pine needles coming out of it. See how we're doing? By doing the pine needles first, layering, and then coming in this, we do distant, makes the branch round. And also, it helps us bury our berries. See how that just creates little pine needles sticking out?
Oh, yeah.
I'm going to take a little bit of my blue and white. Maybe kind of snowflake them a little bit more.
Turned out fantastic.
He's just got a little snowflake on him. And then I am going to grab my dark green color.
Ooh.
Resting my hand on my other hand. Using my detail brush here. Improving the flow so I can get a decent signature out of it. Sign the painting.
So cool.
Just a fun little cardinal in winter. Not too hard.
Not too hard
Not
at all.
too hard. Lots of fun. Fun
Super
mess.
nice.
All the stuff. Very good. I love it very, very
It's
much.
so nice to see everybody out here. You know, I'm going to say, self-plug, we have a store. You can buy all these stuff in our store.
Yeah, the stuff that you see, the canvas,
brushes, all the that kind of stuff. We sell it there. We also
that
have
Deerfoot stippler.
we have great deals on the boxes,
Mm-hmm.
and there's going to be event tickets up soon.
The garage sale boxes are a really good deal on art supplies.
Yeah.
So if you're like
So
needing
much happening.
to hook up on art supplies, they are a really good deal. So I highly recommend those. Check those out. See what all's in. There's watercolor. There's canvases. There's acrylic paint. There's brush rolls. There's other brushes. There's pencils, colored pencils, watercolor pencils. and paper. It's just everything that you could want in a like endless box of art supplies. And it's a great way to kit somebody up in some basic art supplies too.
Oh yeah.
All right. Nothing else to do but say be good to yourself.
Mm-hmm.
Be good to each other, and I'll see you at an easel really soon. Bye-bye.